Hello friend, thank you so much for joining me for today's 12-minute yoga flow to celebrate the winter solstice. It is the winter solstice if you are here in the northern hemisphere, or the southern solstice, or the summer solstice if you're in the southern hemisphere. Here in the northern hemisphere, it is the shortest day of the year, and in the southern hemisphere, it is the longest day of the year. This flow is going to include some postures to generate heat and strength, as well as some postures to ground and calm and stretch. So the solstice, or the change of the season, is always a great time to check in with yourself, see how you're doing. Certainly not the only time to check in with yourself and see how you're doing. Remember, every day is the first day of the rest of your life. But today, as we flow through our practice, let's take some time to check in with ourselves and just make sure that we're on the right track. And if we're not, to think about some solutions, some positive things that we can add into our life to help us get to where we want to be. Go ahead and roll out your mat, and if you enjoy playing music in your yoga practice, go ahead and get your music started and meet me back here. We're going to start standing at the top of our mat. I like to practice with my feet hip-width distance apart, and we're going to start with some sun salutations. So grounding all four corners of the feet into the mat and lifting everything else away from the mat. On an inhale breath, circle, sweep the arms overhead, maybe the palms touch. Exhale, hinge at the hips, deep bend in the knees, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back, weight over the middle, the arches of your feet. Exhale, plant your palms, step back, high plank, top of a push-up. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga, hovering or lower all the way to your belly. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Press the mat forward and away from you. Create length as you bend deeply into your knees. And then perhaps straighten into the legs, but they definitely do not need to be straight. Heels never have to touch the mat. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step your feet behind your hands, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, and inhale, rise. Tall mountain. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Lengthen your chest forward, hips back, bend the knees. Inhale, half lift, flat back, nice and strong through the core. Exhale, plant the palms, step back, high plank. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga or belly to the mat. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Spread the collarbones wide. And exhale, downward facing dog. Maybe take a couple pedals with your feet here. Find some stillness. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step feet behind hands, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, and inhale, tuck your tailbone, stack your vertebrae, rise, Tadasana, mountain pose. One more time. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Keep that generous bend in your knees. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Hug the shoulder blades together. Exhale, plant your palms, step back, high plank, top of a push-up. Inhale, shift forward to your toes. And exhale, lower chaturanga or belly to the mat. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths here. Again, bending deeply into those knees, bringing the belly towards the thighs, opening the upper back. Ground your left foot in the center of your mat and inhale, extend your right leg straight back out of that right hip. Exhale, knee to nose, tiger pose. Create that cat shape in the upper back as you draw the nose and the knee towards one another. Inhale, Three-legged dog. And exhale, step the right foot to the right thumb. Surrender the right knee down, toes tucked or untucked, and inhale, Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. Exhale, cactus the elbows, shine your heart towards the ceiling or the sky. Feel that awesome opening in the front of your chest and your left hip flexor. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, hamstring stretch. Sitting back towards that left heel, flexing the right toes back towards the knee. This is always an awesome place to bring a block underneath your hands. Keep your chest lengthening towards the right toes back towards the chest. Notice I have a very generous bend in my knee. I have very tight hamstrings today. Inhale, come back up to that crescent lunge. Maybe shift your hips forward. And exhale, lizard pose. We're going to bring the palms to the inside of the right foot. Walk that right foot towards the top right corner of the mat. You can stay down on the left knee, or if you'd like a deeper stretch, tuck the left toes and lift the backs of your hips up towards the ceiling. And as you do that, simultaneously think about guiding the right hip back and down and the left hip up and forward. So you're feeling a stretch in the left hip flexor and the outer right hip. And then if you are up on those toes, go ahead and surrender down. And if you can keep your chest, your collarbones open, you can come down to your forearms. It might help to pivot onto the right heel and the pinky edge of the right foot, but still think about that scissoring in the hips. So some nice deep hip opening here. We tend to store emotion in our hips. And these hip openers are such a great way to release tension. And then go ahead and come back up onto the palms. Extend your right arm forward like you're going to shake someone's hand with your thumb facing up. Kick the left heel in towards your glute. And then reach back with that right hand for the pinky edge of the left foot. Such an amazing opener for the front of the left hip and the left quadricep, front of the left quad. So think about looping those shoulders down and back into their sockets. Chest spirals up towards the ceiling. And then think about lengthening the crown of your head forward so that your waist grows out of your hips. And then slowly, carefully release. Go ahead and bring both palms back to the inside of the right foot. Step the right foot back to meet the left, and you can flow through a vinyasa or take the direct route to downward facing dog, whichever feels best in your body. Upward facing dog, palms in the tops of the feet, press into the mat. And then exhale, use your core, downward facing dog. So it's your core that lifts your hips up and back. Take a few pedals with your feet here. Move your right foot to the center of the mat and inhale, left leg lifts straight back out of that hip. Exhale, knee to nose, tiger pose. Flex your core, draw the knee in towards the forehead or the nose. Inhale, re-lengthen. And exhale, step the left foot to the left thumb. Right knee surrenders, toes tucked or untucked. Inhale, Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. As your fingertips extend towards the ceiling, think about pulling your waist up and out of your hips along with them. Exhale, Anuvatasana, cactus those elbows down into the side body. Open your chest and the front of the right hip. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. And exhale, hamstring stretch, Hanumanasana. So sitting back, hips towards that right heel. Flex the left toes back towards the chest and lengthen your chest towards the toes. So think belly to thigh, not knee to nose. And notice that my belly is not on my thigh here. I have to take a very generous bend, which is awesome. Still feel that stretch in my hamstring. I have very tight hamstrings. And then shift forward, back into Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge, and then maybe press the hips forward. Feels so good. Come back up, down into that lizard pose. Walk the left toes forward, and then tuck the right toes. Draw the left hip back and down, simultaneously bringing that right hip up and forward. I feel a really deep stretch in the outer left glute. And breathe. Where can you soften? Often it's the forehead, the jaw, the back of the neck, and the shoulders. And then go ahead and release the back knee, untuck the toes. You can come onto the pinky edge of that left foot to bring the forearms down to the mat. Remember, keep the chest open. We don't want to hunch down. We want to stay open and proud. Feels good. You can move your hips from side to side. And then go ahead and come back up to the palms. Extend the left hand directly out like you're going to shake someone's hand. Kick the right heel in towards the right glute, and then reach back for the pinky edge of the right foot, looping those shoulders down and back into their sockets. Maybe close your eyes. Count the length of your inhale, and do your best to match the length of the exhale to the inhale, or maybe even make your exhale longer. That's a great way to begin to calm your central nervous system. Breath can do so much for us. It's so nice to be able to have a breathing practice, whether you're doing box breathing when you're feeling stressed out throughout your day, or you're simply counting the length of your inhales and matching the length of the exhale, or surpassing the length of the inhale with the exhale. Those are two excellent tools to stay connected to yourself, to keep your cool when things around you definitely are not cool. Fantastic way to practice the pause. The pause between that innate reaction and then the response that you have to anything that's going on around you. And then go ahead and bring that left palm back to the inside of the left foot. Carefully step the left foot back to meet the right, flowing through your final vinyasa, or taking the direct route to downward facing dog. And then coming through to a seat. And then sitting up right, extending the palms out, and then coming back onto your back. Go ahead and hug your knees into your chest, rock side to side here, nice massage for the low back. And I'm going to come into a happy baby pose, finding the pinky edge of each foot with my hand, and then using my elbows to guide the knees open. Being very mindful that your tailbone and low back stay on the mat. So if you need to bring your hands to your shins to make that happen, then bring your hands to your shins. Honor what's right for your body. It is stronger to do the right thing for your body when your ego is telling you something different than it is to try to muscle into the posture and injure yourself. And then when you're ready, curl up into a tight, tiny little ball, taking the deepest inhale here, and an open mouth exhale as you surrender into Shavasana. And my friend, Shavasana is where I'm going to leave us. And I hope you have the gift of time so that you can spend several minutes here in this restorative, delicious posture. Remember, you can always bring pillows behind the backs of your knees, or a blanket, or your yoga blocks, or you can practice with knees bent if that feels better in your body. Friend, thank you so much for practicing with me. Have a wonderful week, a wonderful holiday with your family, and I will see